Chapter 121 Extracting Information. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Planet Hazam. Planet Hazam was the most breathtakingly beautiful planet that Max had ever been to. It was an alien kind of beauty, with vibrant blue-color plants and green-skinned natives. It had the most unusual dotted animals too, and it was one of the rare planets where gravity was almost similar to that of Earth. If there was one thing that Max disliked about the planet, it had to be the slightly pungent smell of sulfur in the air, which smelt like rotten eggs. Almost felt like home, Max thought melancholically as he missed Earth slightly after coming to Hazam. Fortunately, with the mission at hand, he did not let that thought linger in his mind for too long, as he immediately headed out of the teleportation center, in search of the nearest tavern. Max was not a trained assassin, but he was familiar with how one should carry out an assassination mission, with his childhood mentor Johnny English teaching him the basics. Sir Johnny would say that the first step to a successful assassination mission was to gather proper information on the target, and the best place to gather information was from loose-tongued drunks. Having faith in what Johnny had taught him, Max headed to the Cozy Tavern, which seemed to be a fairly busy place with what appeared to be a lot of cocky men. A perfect spot for Max to do his work. "One beer," Max said as he flashed a smile to the green-skinned native woman with an E-cup bust. "Damn, those jugs are big," Max thought as he was brought a jug of beer. "Damn, now I know why this place has so many customers," Max muttered loudly, trying to let the neighboring customers hear his thoughts loud and clear. "First time seeing Georgiana?" asked the man beside him, as Max looked towards him and smiled as he said, "Nah, but I do get mesmerized every single time." The man chuckled. He could relate with Max's words as he said, "Amen, brother." Max sipped his beer from under his mask and let the silence hang in the air for a few seconds. He inspected the man silently, and upon confirming that he was a light faction player just like Max, he said slowly, "Have you heard the latest rumor, my friend?" The man's interest was piqued as he curiously asked, "What rumor?" Max slid in closer to him, as he scanned the room, and then said in a very low voice, "The Sun family young master, he warms his bed with succubi and dark faction women." The man's expression remained the same as he sipped his drink and said, "This is all public information, my friend. The Su family young master sleeps with 3 different women every day. Even our lovely Georgiana here was forced to warm his bed for a week until he got bored of her and threw her out." The man spoke those words with cold disgust as Max received crucial information that the Su young master was a degenerate. "But isn't that guy very weak? How does he have the capability to subdue such fine women?" Max asked, shooting his shot in the air, as he knew that the system would not assign him the mission to kill a target if he was too strong for him to handle. "Yes, he is a tier 1 trash, but his guards and henchmen are all tier 3 and above. Also, the Su family is influential, nobody wants to offend them." The man replied sadly as he longingly threw a glance at the working Georgiana. Max noticed this and understood that the man loved Georgiana and wanted to be with her, so taking advantage of his weakness, Max brought out a pouch filled with 2,000 gold coins and handed it to the man. "Tip her well today, maybe money will move her, my friend," Max said melancholically as he downed his beer. The man was shocked to see so much wealth be handed to him, as suddenly his guard dropped towards Max as he smiled rather brightly and said, "Thank you, my friend." "No issues," Max said as he pretended to ask Georgiana for the bill. "If you need anything in town, just call for Farron in these parts. I'll come to your aid any day of the week," the man said as he revealed his identity. Max paid his bill, then tapped on his shoulder and said, "I just hope that one day someone rises to cuck that Su bastard for sullying our beloved women." Farron said, "I do too. Actually, there was recently a rumor that the Su family young master raped a dark elf, and now her brother is out for his blood. The lass is tier 3 and talented, maybe he can pull it off." Max's eyes brightened at this piece of information. This was music to his ears, as now he had a rudimentary plan on how he was going to pin the blame on the dark faction for the murder. It seemed like his trip to the tavern was a success. Meanwhile, Sebastian felt odd in his new body. Every time he opened his eyes, the world just felt enormous compared to his own body, as tasks like walking normally alongside a human felt impossible. He had to basically jog to keep up with a human's leisurely walking pace, and to make everything worse his long beard felt itchy non-stop. Could you not have found a human body? Sebastian asked Gunnar with some spite behind his voice. The priest asked me to arrange for a body, so I did. No details were specified as to what body it had to be. Gunnar the dwarf replied haughtily, "It's common sense, is it not?" Sebastian asked, complaining as he realized that his mobility in battle was affected severely because of his short limbs. "I'm useless in a fight now, what to do now? It's the only thing I ever enjoyed." Sebastian groaned as Gunnar chuckled, "You forge weapons is what you do. You forge weapons that topple empires." Gunnar replied with pride under his voice. NV. Chapter 122, A Mother's Conviction. You're listening at novelfull.audio. Finding the Sioux family manor was easy. Just like every other narcissistic family, the Sioux family manor was also built at the heart of the city and was surrounded by the ultra-rich and nobles. There were Tier 2 and Tier 3 soldiers patrolling the manor, and although security was tight around the house, it was not absolutely impenetrable. Max took circles of the house and even sneakily invaded the terraces of the neighbors until he eventually found the perfect spot over a high window of a neighbor, from where he had a clear angle of Su Yang's room. Su Yang was everything Max thought he would be. Fat, ugly, and pretty much exactly how Max looked before his reincarnation, with the only difference being that Su Yang had a lizard-green skin. "You debaucherous bastard," Max thought as he saw two women tied on his bed while a third sucked his dick as a fourth fed him grapes. Max checked the angle, the wind, and then his escape route before escalating the neighbor's window as he vanished once more into the streets. Max had a clear plan in mind now. The chosen weapon of assassination was going to be a poisonous arrow straight to the heart of the lecherous bastard. With the blood feud ongoing between the Dark Elf and Su Yang, Max would be able to avert the blame. Happy, Max began scouting the black markets for his bow, arrow, and poison, as he removed his concealer mask from his face and began roaming the streets with sunglasses covering his eyes and black hood covering everything up to his nose. Using his money, Max was able to secure the ingredients he wanted to make the poison rather easily, whereas finding a suitable bow and arrow was even easier. Although Max never revealed his identity to the sellers, he tied a small wooden stick on his ears before wearing the hood, such that to an outsider it would appear that he had pointy ears like those of the elf. With seeds of doubt planted and the target's location already scouted, Max was now ready to carry out the assassination mission. Meanwhile, Asmodeus was escorted back to the Dark Faction hideout in the Thunder Nation, as he was surprised to see that it was not located in a shady area at all, but rather in the heart of the city with hustle-bustle all around. "BDNV, Desmond?" Asmodeus questioned as he looked at a man wearing extremely formal yet luxuriously stitched robes. "Look at your disgusting visage, Asmodeus. Nobody would ever believe me if I told them you were once a serving general in Lord Lucifer's army," Desmond the demon said. Desmond was currently serving as an police inspector in Thor's army, with a backstory that he was abandoned by the demon kind as a kid, and despite being a demon he was as light faction friendly as one could be. Of course, the entire story was a lie made up by the higher-ups who had already infiltrated Thor's council, and now Desmond lived the comfortable life of a light faction citizen while operating his underhanded operations with the title of a police official. "The Soulmancer has made me suffer a lot, but I swear on my ancestors' bones that I will have the last laugh on this matter," Asmodeus replied as he clutched his fists in anger. Desmond studied Asmodeus for a while, then a light smile broke on his lips as he said, "That day might come very soon, Asmodeus. I have saved you this time because Lord Lucifer wants to give you a chance. It's a rather glorious chance, I would say. A chance for you to regain everything you have lost if you only manage to retrieve one small object for the Lord." "Anything for the Lord, Desmond, even my life," Asmodeus replied in a heartbeat, giving proof of his loyalty towards Lucifer. "We have secured a total of 35 spots in the upcoming Dragon's Paradise dungeon run. You will have a smart team of 34 of the best Dark Faction younglings we could find under your command for the sole purpose of finding and retrieving a dragon egg. Your objective inside is simply finding the egg of the black and golden dragon monarchs, and securing it to become a mount for none other than Lord Lucifer himself. Asmodeus's eyes widened in surprise when he heard that the black and golden dragon monarchs were actually having a baby. If this were true, then the born dragon baby would undoubtedly have the potential of becoming the sole unified ruler of the dragon clan, the first one in over 400,000 years. Inside an isolated cave in Dragon's Paradise, growling, the black dragon queen, Rhea, groaned at the pain of childbirth. Childbirth was a painful process even for her, a tier 8 dragon who had lived for over 7,000 years now. "My queen, we need to keep it down," her only attendant, Nancy, said as she nervously checked her surroundings. Rhea grit her dragon teeth tightly shut. She knew better than anyone that the whole world, especially the weaker dragon breeds of red, green and blue, were after the life of her baby. Ahem, a soft sound escaped her mouth regardless as a beautiful dragon egg was laid out covered in her blood and womb juices. The dragon egg was black through and through, but golden linings adored its ridges, making it look as the most divine egg in existence. Rhea looked at the egg with the loving eyes of a mother as she used self-healing spells to regain some of her lost health. "Congratulations, my lady, the egg looks very pretty," Nancy said as she congratulated the monarch. Despite Nancy's subservience to Rhea, she was actually a tier 6 dragon god herself and an absolute menace to any opponent of her lady. Placing her own egg beside that of Rhea, Nancy was embarrassed to see that her own egg was about 4 times smaller and was a black egg with golden polka dots splashed all across. Rhea lovingly wrapped her tail around both the eggs as she said, "I'm sorry, Nancy, I never want anything bad to happen to you or to your baby, but from today onwards for the next 3 years, I'm sorry, but you will have to live your life pretending to be me." Nancy knew this fact all along. She had been very strategically instructed to mate with a golden dragon god, only 2 days before Rhea made love to the dragon monarch. Rhea was not dumb, she was 7,000 years old and one of the strongest existences in the universe. However, being a dragon queen having the responsibility of raising the undisputed dragon emperor of the next generation, she used her own divine essence to enrich the dragon egg inside her womb, defying the laws of the universe at the cost of her own health and well-being. Had Rhea been at full power, she could slay all dragons in this plane with one single attack, but the childbirth had taken a lot out of her. It was embarrassing for her to admit it, but she was even weaker than Nancy at the moment, with no option but to recover her strength slowly and over time. But she knew it full well that this would be her situation after childbirth, which is why she prepared Nancy as her decoy. Using mana manipulation and illusion magic, she changed her skin and her egg color to red and then proceeded to shrink her and her egg size to match that of a small tier 5 dragon. Placing her crown on the floor, she gave Nancy orders to place it on her head and head out to live her life for the next 3 years as the Dragon Queen Rhea. /////A/N. Bonus chapter for hitting the GT target. Good job everyone. /////. Chapter 123 Killing Su Yang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Yang's POV. Lucy, how many times have I told you, don't squish the grapes when you peel them, it's such a simple task. Peel the grapes whole and feed me. What kind of a dumb hoe are you to not even understand such a simple task? Su Yang complained as he enjoyed seeing tears well up in the young Lucy's eyes. Lucy was barely 15, in her eyes grapes were a fruit that did not need peeling at all. However, the fat glutton she was forced to serve today wanted them peeled. Although she tried her best, it was impossible to peel grapes fast and without squishing them. She was simply not that talented. However, whether she was slow or she squished the grape, Su Yang mercilessly humiliated her. Slap. Su Yang slapped the girl who was sucking his dick tightly as he said, "She's your sister, isn't she? The two of you are really useless hoe spawn siblings, one can't peel grapes and the other one is sloppy at sucking dick." Lucy winced when she saw her sister being slapped as she instinctively crushed the grape she was holding. She wanted to kill Su Yang right here and now, but her sister gave her a fierce glare that said, "Don't do anything stupid." Lucy bit her lip and closed her eyes as she prayed that someday Su Yang would die a miserable death. Meanwhile Max was ready on the rooftop of the neighbor's house, perched over the window as he took aim at the fat Su Yang. Max checked his emotions, and unlike his previous assassination attempt back on Earth, this time around he was uncannily calm. Max felt nothing at the thought of taking a human life of such a low-life scumbag, as his fingers did not even tremble slightly as he took aim at the fatty's B-cup manboobs. Max waited till the wind calmed down around him. He was not like Anna, who could predict the arrow shot depending on the wind speed, hence to make the best of his chance he waited till the winds were nearly calm before releasing the arrow. Swoosh! The arrow tore through the wind and much to Max's absolute delight lodged itself straight into Su Yang's chest. .1250 critical hit. Muffled scream. Max could hear Su Yang shouting like a little bitch. Oddly, this brought a big smile to Max's face. Kill him before the guards come, Drax said in Max's mind as he reminded him to be quick to use his powers. Although the poison inside the arrow was sure to do its work on Su Yang, Max wanted to do some artist work before he left. Blood manipulation. Max began manipulating the blood that was spurting out of Su Yang's chest as he condensed it into a sharp needle dot-like formation before piercing both of his arms with a specific set of characters that read, "For Lucifer," in ancient elf language. Max felt his stamina bar depleted by over 40% by just this small long-range effort, but it was undoubtedly worth it in his mind, as he began running towards the pre-planned escape route. Max ran a few blocks like a madman, before entering a dark alley where he ditched his robes and weapon of assassination and set it on fire. Max walked out of the alley in his usual robes and mask as he effectively shifted his identity back to being Raven. It was a nervous few seconds for Max after that, but soon he got the notification he was waiting for. System notification. You have killed Tier 1 player, Su Yang, inside a battle zone. Since the player you killed belongs to the neutral faction, you will be awarded half the EXP for the kill. Add to plus 1200 EXP, system remark. A despicable underhanded killing of a man who was near climax. Max smiled under his mask. The mission was 85% completed. The rest was up to the investigators. Meanwhile Lucy could not believe her eyes when an arrow came flying out of nowhere and lodged itself inside Su Yang's chest. It felt like a dream come true for her, and while Su Yang screamed in horror, Lucy only pinched herself to make sure that this was not all a dream. Lucy saw her sister panic, as she was drenched in Su Yang's blood, but at this moment looking out of the window she saw a hooded man holding a bough on the nearby terrace. Then, in the most absurd thing that Lucy had ever seen, Su Yang's own blood began rising as it formed small needles and impaled Su Yang's own body in a specific pattern. "Young master!" shouted a guard as he rushed to Su Yang's aid, as Lucy was startled and hid in the far corner of the room. More and more guards soon rushed into the room and began performing healing magic, as they somehow tried to keep Su Yang alive. Lucy prayed strongly in her heart that Su Yang the evil bastard die, as every time she saw his HP bar rise a little she felt uneasiness in her chest. However, as if she had a direct line to God himself today, her call was heard when Su Yang was fed an HP potion. The kind of poison that Max had used to kill Su Yang was the kind that only got activated when the victim was fed a healing potion. While usually the healing potion was a great means to regain health quickly, with this poison inside Su Yang's body it did the exact opposite, as Su Yang died in a heartbeat after consuming it. His dead mouth hung open and foamed as the subordinates all looked ashen pale, not understanding where they had gone wrong, with the only thing standing out on Su Yang's body now being the "For Lucifer" symbol lodged on his arm. /////A/N. Hip hip hooray. A special shout out to reader Shadow 118 and his to-be wife. Today is my man's wedding. May you and Effie have a long and happy married life ahead. Wish him in the comments below, guys. For every 10 comments congratulating him in the next 24 hours, I'll release a corresponding bonus chapter ////. Chapter 124 Tier 2 Promotion. You're listening at novelfull.audio. Back on Star Planet, Max left Planet Hasm quickly after he got confirmation that Su Yang was dead as he walked into the same Tier 2 testing hall that he had used to issue the quest. "I'm here to turn my quest in," Max said as he tossed a bag of gold to the attendant. "Right this way, young master," the attendant, who remembered exactly who Max was and realized what the tip was for, immediately took Max in towards the evaluation area and then quickly ran out to close the Tier 2 promotion hall for the time of Max's evaluation to ensure that he got the maximum privacy. System notification. Quest turned in, switching off the watchful gaze of the evaluation AI. Quest evaluation. Beginning quest evaluation 1, time taken. You have taken 19 hours 55 minutes and 18 seconds to turn in the quest. Time rating. SSS, perfect score criteria, 20 hours, NV.2, method used. Bow and arrow assassination using poison alongside a hint of shaman arts. Method evaluation. S3, behavior evaluation. SSS, player is evaluated to have shown exceptional calm and calculative abilities. Overall score. SS distributing rewards. Error. System error notification. It is detected that the player is not of the vampire race or the shaman class. The tier promotion results will be readjusted. System notification. Considering that there are no other living species of primordial vampire or any living individual practicing the blood shaman class in the light faction, your overall evaluation will be upgraded by 2 levels. Final evaluation. SSS Plus, distributing rewards. 1. All stats. 2.52, your racial ability, blood manipulation, is now strengthened. 3. Your racial resistance against mental manipulation and blood loss is strengthened. 4. Your racial allergy towards the sunlight has worsened. 5. Your racial ability, night vision and moonlight healing have improved. 6. You have unlocked a new ability. Blood healing. Tier promotion skill reward. Choose any 2 out of 5. 1. Stamina burn, beginner. Burn your stamina at 2x the normal cost to get 1.5 times increase in strength and agility stats. 2. Scan, beginner. A aura technique that will help you scan for enemies in a 100-meter radius. 3. Fake out, beginner. Use an illusion technique to unleash a move that looks real but is in fact an illusion to confuse your enemy. 4. Single blade hurricane, beginner. It is a 35/consecutive attack pattern that can deal a serious punch to the enemy's armor and HP pool. 5. Pretend, beginner. You can pretend to be dead when your HP is below 10% without the enemy noticing. Notice. It won't work if the enemy's perception skill is higher than player by 2 tiers. Class-specific skill reward, choose any 2 out of 4, Earthbind Totem, beginner. Sacrifice 2% of max HP to create a totem that will slow down all enemy movements in a 25-meter radius by 30%. Nether Beast Summon, beginner. Summon a pack of 25 Tier 2 Nether Beasts and use them to outnumber any opponent in battle. As mules to transport goods, or as trackers to trace, find the scent and locate the enemy. 100-to-1 Blood Sacrifice, beginner. Obtain the blood of 100 individuals that are 1 tier weaker than the enemy and of the same race as the enemy and sacrifice the blood to the shaman god to kill any enemy in an instant. Notice. Does not work on gods. Chain Heal, beginner. Sacrifice 20% of your HP to restore 10% health of all your party members. Notice. Maximum party size is 10 at beginner mastery. Max was utterly speechless reading the rewards of the quest. He did not expect to pass with yet another SSS Plus rating, nonetheless he had a big decision to make now. Meanwhile Rudra never thought that he would one day abandon Earth. He had read Max's reincarnation notes and he knew that the past him had never made the choice to abandon the planet, but thinking critically he knew why the past him, despite knowing the weaknesses of Earth, could never make the choice to move away. In his past life he did not have Naomi to look after the kids. This would have placed a huge burden on Rudra, as would not want to leave Earth onto a new planet not knowing what kind of life his kids would enjoy there, but this time around it was different for him. If only Rudra could make sure that his people and his family were safe, which he was sure they would be on planet Radiance, he could go back to living the life of the warlord that he truly was and become a true menace on the universal stage. In the entire universe, the number of Tier 10 treasures could be counted on fingers, as there were only 10 in existence, yet one of those 10 treasures was inside Rudra's body nourishing him constantly, which was also the reason why he could tear through Tier 6 onto Tier 7 despite even the fastest gods needing at least half a century to advance. If the Tier 10 treasure was the only thing backing him, Rudra would not be confident of taking on Thor, but he also had the Tier 9 treasure, the seed of reincarnation, planted inside him as well. At the very end of his journey of Omega, the unnamed god had told him that he would die once in the near future, but with the seed of reincarnation inside him, death would not be the absolute end, but the start of a new beginning. Knowing this and the fact that even after his death, his family and earthlings would be looked after, Rudra felt fearless again for the first time in a long time. He felt excited about taking on a mission, even one as dangerous as destroying the Thunder Nation. ///////n. Bonus chapter for the wedded couple John and Effie. As usual, there is a tier promotion and choices to be made, so put your votes in the comments section below. The majority vote wins. /////. Chapter 125 Regus Aurelius. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The vampire capital planet, Ixtal. Ixtal was the vampire capital, the symbol of vampire pride and royalty, and the home of the vampire overlord Regus Aurelius. The planet was one of the most unique planets in the universe, as it was a planet where the sun never rose. The planet was tidally locked to a moon which blocked all incoming sunlight completely. Every day was a solar eclipse on Ixtal, allowing only scattered red to reach the planet. Because of this unique planetary alignment, the planet was dark and cold, but its temperatures were still bearable because of its proximity to the sun. Only the most powerful vampires lived on the capital planet, with representatives of all vampire clans owning some form of establishments or permanent bases on the capital. On the entire planet, there was but one single city with a population of only 250,000 vampires. Out of these 250,000, about 150,000 were only support and maintenance workers, with the real population of the planet comprising hardly 100,000 people. Ixtal was the vampire's paradise, and the planet had a rich history. While both the vampire clan and the werewolf clan can trace their roots back to Ixtal, it was a bloody war when the first vampire king's army killed 14 million werewolves in the Battle of Glaciers to claim the planet. The blood spilled from that great war soaked the ice glaciers of the planet in such a way that even after thousands of years passing, a river of blood still flows through Ixtal with fresh diluted werewolf blood mixed through. The river of blood, named Sanguis, was the integral part of most ancient vampire lore and songs, as it stood as the symbol of glory of the vampire ancestors. Within Sanguis was a small 2 kilometers long island. It was an abnormally large rock that refused to be eroded by the large river and split it both ways around itself, and it was on this rock that the palace of Regus Aurelius was built. Regus Aurelius was a man of focus, commitment and discipline. If there was one kind of person Regus Aurelius absolutely hated, it was the unpunctual people. Born as the son of the patriarch of the then number 2 ranked clan the Aurelius, Regus was groomed to be a leader from a very young age. It was his old man who had instilled the importance of routine and discipline into Regus Aurelius, and taking his lessons to heart, Regus Aurelius kept living a disciplined and hard-working life, and before he knew it, his constant hard work had put him ahead of all his peers, as there was nobody in his generation that were his equal. Regus served as the general to the then vampire king's army and slowly kept gaining achievements after achievements under his belt, leading the vampire forces to one big victory after another. His influence grew to such a large degree that the great clans all became more loyal to him than to the vampire king, while his crowning moment came when he surpassed the previous vampire king and stepped into the monarch ranks by ascending to Tier 8. His ascension was by no means peaceful, as with the backing of all major clans he launched a scathing attack on Ixtal, a fight that ended with him drinking the blood of the dead vampire king as he sat on his throne. However, his crowning moment was also the moment he was cursed, as before dying the previous vampire king laughed and reminded Regus Aurelius of the ancient prophecy. "We're only holders of the throne for him. You can usurp the throne from me, Aurelius, but you will not keep it. The child of prophecy will come for the throne one day and he will kill you. You think you are strong. You think your attacks are powerful. The sanguis will be his weapon, Aurelius, and also your deathbed." The words of the vampire king were the reason for many nightmares for Regus Aurelius. Although he started as a humble man, he could no longer imagine himself losing his power to anyone, albeit his own son. Today was one such day for Regus Aurelius, where he was jolted awake mid-dream as he had a nightmare about the previous vampire king reminding of the child of the prophecy. "Are you okay, my king?" the queen asked as she felt Regus shuffle on the bed. "Just a nightmare, my queen, nothing serious," Regus Aurelius said as he flashed his queen a fake smile. The queen was simple and she believed her husband and went back to sleep, while Regus Aurelius crept into his most comfortable linen robes and walked towards the window as he looked at the blood-ringed moon above. "How fragile are you? You beautiful thing," Regus Aurelius said as he tried to grab the moon in his hands. For Regus Aurelius, destroying moons was a single-move affair. If he wanted to, he could allow sunlight to freely propagate on Ixtal. The soil of the planet was actually very fertile and could be used for farming and irrigation if he wished to do so. However, Regus Aurelius did not wish for it. He liked Ixtal just the way it was, an inhospitable planet for the weak, a paradise for the strong. "I wish to meet you, the one whose destiny is to usurp my throne. I wish to monitor your journey," Regus Aurelius said wishfully. However, sadly fate would not allow him to do so. Whoever the child of prophecy was, he was shielded from Regus Aurelius for now, and until he grew noticeable and started making waves, all Regus Aurelius could do was wait patiently for his rise. The time of their meeting was growing closer. Regus Aurelius could feel it in his bones. /////A/N. Bonus chapter number 2, this one is for the beautiful bride Effie. May John never let you cry any tears but those of joy ////. Chapter 126 rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Max checked out his racial bonuses first. Now that he was tier 2, the Agni Astra provided him complete fire resistance for moves up to tier 4. His intermediate fire resistance had hence evolved into high fire resistance, and it came at a perfect time considering that he was about to head into a dungeon named Dragon's Paradise, when dragons were known to breathe fire. Apart from his fire resistance improving because of the Agni Astra, his mental manipulation resistance and blood loss resistance also saw improvements. The only downside that came with these benefits was that his allergy to the sun seemed to have worsened. Max had already started to dread the sunlight. However, with him only losing 0.1 HP for every second he was exposed to the sun, he still had some small fighting chance even when he was exposed to the sun. He believed that with his HP pool growing sufficiently large he would one day be able to rid himself off the fully covered robes and roam around like a normal vampire without caring for the sun, but apparently it would not be possible. It seemed like he and the sun were destined to be enemies for life. Max had also received a new racial passive. Blood Heal, passive. Your skin is now capable of absorbing blood that falls on it directly without you having to consume it. The consumed blood will automatically be converted to HP and restore satiety. Act great. Max groaned in distress. This was a great skill that he would have loved to have under normal circumstances. However, with him being always covered in robes from head to toe and his face being hidden behind a mask, he would never naturally come into contact with blood, meaning this skill was basically useless. Damn you, son! Max cursed, as he reluctantly moved on towards the skill choices. Max had to admit, the skills in Tier 2 were much better than those offered when he passed the Tier 1 trial. Every skill offered was practical and useful, and regardless of what Max chose, he would be walking out with a gain. However, to maximize his gain he needed to think hard about exactly what skills to choose, so that they supplemented his fighting style. In his heart, Max always admired a fighter like his brother. Someone bold and fearless with countless flashy moves under his belt, but after undergoing the university tournament, Max realized that support skills were nearly as broken as attack skills if used correctly. Max was an oddball. He was not an offense-based class warrior like his brother, and most of his class-based skills leaned towards the path of playing a back-end warrior. Max knew he had to choose Nether Beast summoning, as having 25 Nether Beasts under his command to fulfill various versatile needs from combat to carrying load to being a mount was extremely advantageous for Max. However, choosing Nether Beast summoning made his next choice extremely difficult. Chain Heal was a broken ability to pass on. If he could sacrifice his HP to help all of his teammates regain theirs, he could effectively replace the role of a healer in the group while also maintaining offensive abilities of a shaman warrior. But choosing Chain Heal would mean that Max now chose 2 support-based skills in a row, which would affect his development as an individual player. Max gritted his teeth and thought carefully about Asiva, Sebastian and Anna before deciding that Chain Heal was worth being chosen in the end. Now that he had effectively dug a hole for himself by going on the path of a support warrior, he knew he had to just choose Scan, because having that ability under his belt would not only help him avoid unnecessary conflicts, but also help set up ambushes. However, choosing Scan meant that he only had one last skill choice left to make. Max wanted the last skill to be attack-based, and Single Blade Hurricane was an extremely appealing choice. However, although Max was madly in love with the skill and its attack potential, he knew that Fake Out just blended in better with his existing moveset. Max already had Sword Intent and Overhead Slash. If he could somehow mix Fake Out to trick the enemy, he could then use Overhead Slash to deal critical damage. Hence, having already went down the rabbit hole, Max buried himself even deeper, as now the only way out was by going through. With all his choices made, Max had successfully cleared the Tier 2 promotion. As he threw a glance at his new status panel, even he was impressed for a second as he realized that the huge disparity between his agility and dexterity stat was finally starting to show. He had done stat maximization and received only 2.5x tier promotion multipliers, yet however even then the difference was huge. This made Max realize that the path he was walking on was truly the right one, as if it continued to compound this way, he would sooner or later become a tier stronger than all his enemies, while fighting at the same level. Meanwhile Anna, "Thank you for this chance, big sister Ruby, I will not squander it," Anna said to Princess Ruby, her elder sister, thanking her profusely for securing a spot for her in the upcoming Dragon's Paradise dungeon. Anna had been knocked out of the tournament in the round of 64 itself and was feeling very low because all her friends had managed to qualify until the round of 16 and were going to Dragon's Paradise together. She was feeling left out and lonely, but now that her elder sister got her an entry slot she was very happy. "Silly girl, this is the least I can do for you," Ruby replied with a cheerful smile as Anna's heart melted. Her sister was truly the most beautiful woman she had ever seen, and she looked even happier when she smiled. About Max's elder brother. Anna tried to say something but Ruby cut her off. "He's happy, isn't he? He has a wife, kids, I don't want to intrude in his world," Ruby said as tears welled up visibly in her eyes as she said those words. Anna's heart ached when she saw her sister like this. Although countless suitors wanted to date her, it seemed like she had given her heart to a man who had apparently forgotten his promise to come for her. Anna gritted her teeth. This was not fair in her eyes, and she was prepared to actively seek a change by talking to Max about reminding his brother about his long-lost promise. //////A/N. Please find attached stat panel in the author notes. Do comment if you have any doubts. /////. Chapter 127 I'm a God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rudra's POV. You wish to stage a non-violent protest against me and you want me to wholeheartedly give you permission for it. Rudra asked, bemused by the suggestion of the merchant in front of him. Yes, Your Excellency, as you have bound me with a system contract before revealing to me the information about Earth's migration plan, I have no choice but to ask for you to release me from my contract so that I do not die protesting against you. The merchant replied most earnestly, ha ha ha, how did you ever think I'll allow it to happen? What leverage do you have over me for me to bend to your will? This planet is no longer a democracy. When I decide to censor information it's censored, end of discussion. Rudra asked, mildly amused, mildly annoyed by the merchant. But then you will go down in the history books as a violent dictator, my lord. Sooner or later I will be freed from this contract. If you do not allow me free speech now, I will spread the message once we have shifted to radiance. But one way or another, the people of Earth will know that they had no say in their own fates and that they were forced off Earth by a dictator. The merchant replied with arrogance. Swords were drawn and pointed towards the merchant instantly when he called Rudra a dictator. However, Rudra calmed them all down with a raise of his hand. Rudra was never going to lose a battle of words against a civilian, hence he only smiled calmly and asked, do you consider yourself to be a non-violent man, my friend? The man replied proudly, yes, yes I do, I've never killed a human or animal. Rudra nodded as he said, impressive, but just out of curiosity I want to ask you, if you wanted to could you kill me? The man stumbled for words, clearly at a loss as he said, I don't think anybody on Earth can harm a hair on you, sire. Rudra smiled as he said, exactly my friend, you're not non-violent, you're just weak. With your tier 2 strength you are as weak as a bug and won't even last a blink of an eye against me if I wanted you dead. If there is anyone non-violent on this planet, it's me, because if I truly decided that humanity is irredeemable there would not be a planet Earth tomorrow morning. So don't go around lecturing me on morals and history books, because you're simply not worthy of having such discussion with me. I don't get paid for this, I don't get pleasure from this. Running and protecting Earth is a hardship I bear so that all of you can live in peace. However, don't think of me as a hero of the people, merchant, I'm not a hero. I'm a god and I command absolute obedience. The merchant was ghastly pale when he heard Rudra's words. This was not how this discussion was supposed to go. Throughout his life the merchant had seen many governmental regimes rise and fall and he understood the nature of leaders very well. However, he had clearly underestimated Rudra. Rudra was not a president, not a leader, not even a hero, he was a god. Humans were his subjects, not his kind, not his people. Meanwhile Max just re-entered university grounds and was pleasantly surprised to see that Anna had just arrived there as well. Hi. Anna said excitedly as she saw Max. Hey. Max replied cheerfully to her enthusiasm, I have some good news. Anna said with a smile, oh. So do I. Max said, okay, let's say it together. Anna suggested as she counted down her fingers from 3.2.1, I'm coming to Dragon's Paradise. Anna said, I have leveled up to tier 2, Max said at the same time. Congratulations. Both said at the same time and started chuckling. The two of them started walking towards the shuttle area together as there was a harmonious atmosphere between the two. However, it was suddenly broken when Anna dropped a bombshell on Max. By the way, I know exactly who you are behind that mask. She said teasingly. Max looked at her like she was kidding and then said, oh yeah. Max did not believe that she actually knew his identity and took it casually. However, his heart jumped for a second when she called him out. You are Max Rajput, brother of Rudra Rajput, the god of humans. Anna said as she showed her tongue to Max as if saying, I caught your secret. However, Max just stood rooted on the spot, ashen pale as he wondered how his secret was exposed to Anna. You did a good job of hiding it, but, I don't think you know who my sister is. Anna said with pride, your sister? Max asked, still too stunned by this sudden revelation. Yes, my elder sister Princess Ruby, your sister-in-law. Well, sort of, Anna said casually as another bomb was dropped on Max. Of course he knew who Ruby was. Princess Ruby was the first wife of his brother who was an NPC in the tutorial game Omega. She was an elf just like Anna, and now that he thought about it more, they did look extremely similar as Max felt silly that he had never noticed until now. Yes, well, my sister has a treasure crystal ball that helps her keep an eye on anyone she wishes to spy on, and her being the romantic that she is, just uses it to spy on Rudra. Well, when he was here at the tournament, apparently he was walking with a hand around your shoulder. That's when my sister found out about your identity, and also realized that it was the same university that I went to. So yes, when I visited back home recently in our usual gossip session we were talking about things and then voila. I discovered your secret. Anna seemed super proud of her detective skills, however Max could not understand whether he should laugh or cry at this situation. Anna, I'll die if my identity is leaked ever, there is a reason I put a mask on me, Max said sounding nervous. Of course Max, chill, my lips are sealed, only me and my sister know and we won't tell anyone, but, you will have to tell me everything. How did you become a vampire when your brother is a human? How did you meet Asiva? Who all are after you? Who is your secret crush? What do you do with Asiva at night? Also you have to help me set up a date between your brother and my sister after the dungeon. Your brother has forgotten about his promise to come for her, it's unacceptable let me tell you. Anna kept blabbering on and on as Max felt his heart sink inside his chest. If there was one thing Max had learnt being around Anna it was that the girl loved to gossip. Max suddenly felt that his well-kept secret was no longer well-kept at all. / bonus chapter for hitting the PS target, good job everyone, / Chapter 128 Band is back together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. To say that Asiva was pissed would be an understatement. The emotional rage she was feeling at the moment was almost at the threshold of erupting as a full-blown volcano, however, unfortunately she had nowhere to vent. Being the only person to know Max's real identity made her feel extremely special, it made her share a special bond with Max that no one else did. However, now Anna knew it too and she did not have any good feelings towards this development. Asiva liked Anna, it was not like she did not consider her to be a friend. However, Anna was a blabbermouth through and after finding Max's identity she was acting way too cozy with Max for her comfort. I swear if you call him Maxie once more, I'll punch you in the face, Asiva thought as she strained her facial muscles to the limit trying to maintain a neutral expression while Anna teased Max. Thankfully before any more damage could be done, a fat short dwarf walked up to their table in the canteen. Hey guys. The short dwarf said as he struggled to somehow sit on the tall canteen chair, but after 20 seconds of intense struggling he finally managed to pull himself up, only to find the table ridiculously high up to his neck for him to eat at comfort. Sorry, do we know you? Anna said as she looked at the dwarf suspiciously, thinking it may be a lecherous bastard. The dwarf sighed as it said, I'm Sebastian guys, it's a long story. The fuck, the hell, the Odin, all three of Sebastian's friends cursed at this sudden information drop before Max started to chuckle out loud. Ha 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 ha, hey shoddy, Max said, teasing Sebastian as the other party winced in pain hearing the comment. Hearing Max's joke Anna bursted laughing too while Asiva remained stoic as she asked, if you are Sebastian, prove it. Asiva was not like the other two buffoons, she did not believe any random balloony, only after she had irrefutable proof that the person sitting in front was Sebastian, she would not believe it. Hence began the tale of Sebastian the dwarf, starting all the way from his childhood to how he met Asmodeus to his run as a vegetative soul while his body was controlled by Asmodeus. While Max was laughing at the story for the first 5 minutes, it soon got pretty dark as everyone began realizing just how pitiful Sebastian's life had been up till this point. Even Asiva was moved by Sebastian's miseries as she secretly ordered wine and a lot of cushions so that Sebastian could sit on a pile and drink his sorrows away with the rest of them at a respectable height. And the worst part is that the bastard escaped death penalty in the end, so now there is a demon running around in my body, with my face. Sebastian complained at the end as he completed his story, my condolences, we will find and kill that demon one day, I promise, Asiva said trying to console Sebastian. So how tall are you again? Anna asked, trying to contain her laughter. I want to say 4 feet, but I'm really 3 feet 11 inches, Sebastian replied as he shyly sipped his wine. Anna giggled a little hearing this, but was pinched hard on her stomach by Asiva. Ouch, she said, rubbing her belly, as Asiva gave her the parent glare. So, how long is your thing now? Max asked curiously. 1.5 inches, pretty average, Sebastian replied with a huge sigh of relief. Not bad, Max said in approval, not bad. It's microscopic. Anna said, sounding aghast as Asiva smacked her tight on the back of the head. Ha ha ha, you must be joking, you silly virgin, come let's talk in private in the washroom. Asiva said as she dragged Anna by the arm. Asiva only wanted the slightest of reasons to smack Anna, and to her it felt really good after all the teasing she did to Max, but poor Sebastian looked borderline depressed by this particular comment of hers. She's a virgin, she won't know, right? He asked, his underconfidence evident from her tone. Yeah, technique and stamina is what matters the most, and with the dexterity of a dwarf if you will rock any woman's world. Max said, playing the role of the hype man as he tried to restore Sebastian's confidence. Although Sebastian was not fully convinced, he had no choice but to believe Max's words for now, as he muttered, hope so, under his breath. Anyways, we set out to the Dragon's Paradise tomorrow, no? You guys have prepared? Sebastian asked Max as Max filled him in on all the supplies and information that the three of them had gathered and their plans about the coming day. As the two started talking about upcoming adventures, Sebastian soon forgot that he was a dwarf as he felt lively and cheerful once again. Soon, Asiva and Anna returned from the washroom, and Anna looked thoroughly disciplined as from then on she did not make a single inappropriate comment that would harm Sebastian's confidence. Overall, Sebastian's mood improved greatly by spending time with his friends, as it helped him forget the pains of him becoming a dwarf, even if it was momentary. Although nobody said anything, everyone was silently looking out for Sebastian in their own way and trying to ease him into accepting his new life, and he could feel it. Well, who would dare to mock you if you have a dragon as a pet? Max said jokingly once through the evening, but the comment stuck deeply inside Sebastian's mind. It was a dangerous question, and the more he thought about it the more it made sense, as just who would dare make fun of his height if he stood on the head of a freaking fire-breathing dragon. // This bonus chapter has been sponsored by patron Oscar Pill. Please thank him in the comments for this one. // Chapter 129, Dragon's Paradise. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Outside the Dragon's Paradise, a school teacher escorted all 16 of the school students who had won a chance to enter the Dragon's Paradise, while Anna tagged along with her own personal invite. It was kind of cool that a teacher was with them, because the security to enter the dungeon was extremely tight and the people gathered outside the gate all looked extremely mean and like they meant business. Max for sure felt like he would have been lost in this place if he were alone, or would have picked an unnecessary fight, but thankfully with the school group banding together there was a slight sense of security. The power levels of everyone were only in the Tier 2 realm, so it was not like there was a huge difference there. However, while they were kids 15.19 years of age, everyone else were grown-ups who had that mean aura around them that only came with experience. There was a clear demarcation between light and dark faction forces, and the hostilities were open for everyone to see right from the get-go. Don't fight anyone unnecessarily. If you die once you will be teleported outside and you will not be able to carry a single non-bound item outside. This means that whatever happens, don't linger near the dungeon center near the end, come as close to the exit as possible and leave as soon as possible, because the exit portal will only be open for 2 hours. If you don't leave the dungeon before it becomes a battle zone again, then you will be stuck inside for nearly 2.5 more years with powerful dragons who will eat you raw. I'm not kidding, guys, many have been stuck inside the dungeon due to their overconfidence, and let's just say there has yet to be anyone who came out alive 2.5 years later once they got stuck inside. So commit suicide if you have to, but get out even if you can't make it back to the exit portals. Your life is undoubtedly more precious than the treasures you will obtain. It's an extremely hostile place, but full of treasures, rare plants, items and loot. Hell, if you are daring enough you can steal dragon eggs too. However, it's not going to be easy to obtain any of them and your life will most likely be in danger. Look out for each other if possible, you are the best of the university recruits and we wish you all the very best. The teacher instructed as the entry portal finally opened. The teacher's job ended once all the kids entered safely and he had given his 2 cents worth to them, even though he knew very well that not many would take his wise words seriously. One by one everyone placed their entry token on the scanner, and once it was confirmed to be legitimate they entered the dungeon. The good thing about the dungeon was that everyone was teleported in groups of 10 at a random spot inside the dungeon, so not everyone was crowded at the same starting point. With this system in place and the students all going in together, the university ensured that at least they would spawn with familiar faces around them and not amongst enemies. System notification. You have entered a limited time wild zone, Dragon's Paradise. Time limit till it reverts back to a battle zone is 6 days, 23 hours, 55 minutes. System remark. You are ants voluntarily entering a world of dragons, your bravery closely resembles stupidity. Asiva, Max, Anna, Sebastian spawned together alongside some people who they had defeated in the tournament, and while everyone else hated Asiva and wanted a piece of her for being the champion, they knew that together the 4 of them together were a formidable fighting force and it was not worth entering into an open fight at the risk of dying at the very start. Hence reluctantly backing off, the people gave the group some space as they themselves began to make a run for the woods and away from the other people. Meanwhile the Red Hand Group members deliberately rigged the entry group in such a way that they would outnumber the Dark Faction players 7-3 upon entry. However, the support from the Thunder Nation administration was rather strong for the Dark Faction forces, as they could only do this trick with about 2 groups while the rest went in intact with all 10 members. Despite this, the fight was brought to the 6 Dark Faction members right from the start, as they were outnumbered and killed mercilessly by the Red Hand Group. The orders of the group this time were clear: regardless of their own personal gains, the Dark Faction could not be allowed to have significant profits out of this dungeon run, and no matter what they could absolutely not be allowed to secure the dragon egg of the Dragon Monarch. All Red Hand mercenary group members wore a red scarf on their right arm to signify the faction they belonged to, and while the other groups went looking for treasures, the Red Hand members went looking for demons to kill. Meanwhile Asmodeus was seething internally when he saw Sebastian and the rest of his friends entering the Dragon's Paradise. However, since he was under strict orders by the higher-ups to not cause chaos and stay hidden until entry, he could only reluctantly hide his identity and sulk in a corner while he watched them enter peacefully. "I'll find you and hunt you all, you kids are one of the biggest reasons for my misery, and I'll be damned if I let you walk out of this dungeon with good spoils," Asmodeus thought vengefully. Him and his group were one of the few who were protected by the administration and given a clean entry, as upon entering the dungeon they quickly got to work and started frantically looking for the Dragon Monarch. XXXXX. End of Volume 2. Dog Days. Chapter 130 Lurking Dangers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Start of Volume 3. Forged Through Fire. The Dungeon. Dragon's Paradise. The Dragon's Paradise was a sort of unique land with unseen herbalife for an Earth resident like Max. The trees were extremely tall and thick at about 25.45 feet tall, and even the mushrooms that grew on the surface were about 3.4 feet tall, making one feel like they had ventured into the land of the giants. "Feels like home," Anna said as she breathed the fresh air and hopped happily on the ground, while Sebastian felt borderline depressed seeing that even mushrooms were taller than he was. Since Anna was an elf raised in abundant nature, she was comfortable with such tall lush green trees and healthy plant life, but for the other group members it was a new unseen terrain. Max had already used scan on the area and he knew that at least in the next 100 meters vicinity, there were no dangers lurking. Roar, system notification. You have heard a dragon's roar, you have been affected by dragon's fear, all stats reduce by 2% for next 2 minutes. The group heard their first dragon's roar, and although it was at least several kilometers away, it still reverberated in their cores as they felt goosebumps arise on their skin. "Ha ha 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 ha, dragons are no joke," Sebastian said as he noticed the debuff, and the group nodded solemnly in agreement. The Dragon's Paradise was a plane that barred any individual stronger than Tier 2 entry. It was the safe haven where most dragons came to lay their eggs and raise their young. A dragonling, unlike other beast kids, took much longer to mature. It took them nearly 2 years to learn how to fly and breathe fire at will, and nearly 6 months more to learn how to hunt by themselves. It was due to this cycle that the dragon's paradise became even more desirable for dragon mothers, as it took exactly 2.5 years for the dungeon to open and close, giving them the perfect time frame to teach their young ones how to survive. Stop, guys. Something big is moving on the trees above us. Max said with a slight urgency in his voice as the other group members immediately drew their weapons and stood on guard. Max could have sworn that he scanned the area not even 3 full minutes ago and found everything to be clear, but this time around there was something lurking over their heads, meaning it had sneaked above them undetected. HISSS and snake creature that was camouflaged perfectly into the surroundings suddenly lunged at the group, with its target being the big fat short dwarf. Holy sh***. Sebastian cursed as he bravely stabbed his sword towards the anaconda, but although the sword lodged itself into the anaconda's nose, it did little to no real damage. 250, Draconic Snake, level 140. A snake infamous for its camouflaging abilities, it usually waits for weak prey to wander into its territory before taking it by surprise. If you have already detected the beast, then the threat of you dying at its hands is already considerably lower, as it does not have many combat abilities. Fireball, 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 fireball. 200.200.200.200. Max spammed a few fireballs at the snake's nose, and it clearly annoyed the snake as it hissed viciously towards Max. Schwa schwa. Seeing that the snake was distracted, Anna took the opportunity to attack both its eyes as she blinded the beast perfectly. 3000 critical hit. 3000 critical hit. The beast screamed in pain as with its eyes blinded it could only rely on its tongue to sense where the enemy was. Unfortunately for it, however, the moment it opened its mouth it was met with a flurry of daggers by a Siva. 2300.1200.2200.5000 critical hit. Some of the daggers hit inside of its mouth while one pierced straight through its throat, killing the big beast. System notification. Your party has slain one draconic snake, level 140, EXP plus 4000. You have gained plus 1 draconic snake hide. O.org, system notification. You have leveled up. System remark. At last you have found a good party that can carry you. Haha, die stupid snake. Sebastian rejoiced in victory as the group pretended to not see his legs trembling with fear. Max had leveled up once and everything seemed fine until he used scan once more and realized the danger his party was in. Guys, make a run for the trees. Max shouted in urgency as he picked the trembling Sebastian up like he was a gnome and dived towards the nearest tree. Although Asiva and Anna did not know the reason behind Max's panic-filled shout, they immediately obeyed his call as they took cover, as well as moments later a large predatory bird with a wingspan as wide as a private jet swooped in and took the snake corpse in its claws before flying away. Aerodactyl, level 290. A form of wyvern species specializing in high-speed flying maneuvers and strong claw grip. If you are caught in its claws you will most likely end up as its food. What the absolute bloody hell, Anna complained as she looked at the beast fly away and realized that except Max none of them could even sense such a large beast coming in towards them. Max thanked his lucky stars that he chose the skill scan for his tier promotion, as without it 2 out of 4 group members would have most likely become snake food or bird food for sure. We need to be more careful. This is not our university's wild zone, we cannot walk inside it as if we are on a stroll. Let's walk in a straight line with one of us monitoring one direction each, so that we have a better chance of spotting threats before they come. Keep your long-range spells ready and keep a lookout for escape routes. While we can take a fight against the snake, we cannot fight beasts like the Aerodactyl at all. We need to be smart there and choose to retreat safely. Asiva said as the group reorganized themselves according to her suggestion and began treading the forest ever more carefully.